My name is Anyu Diana. I am a construction engineer. I've been a construction engineer for the past 20 years. I started out my career in the private sector, worked with a couple of contractors, took some time off, had a family. When that was out of the way, I went back to work as a humanitarian. I did that for a couple of years, maybe 10 years now. And now here I am today. 20 years pass very fast. So now I'm here today and on to the next chapter of my life. And the next chapter of my life, this is where the story of rooting begins. Initially, of course, I've always had it at the back of my mind that one day I would put this idea into action, but I've never had the time. So I've always had friends and family reach out to me seeking help with their construction projects, and some of them in the diaspora, some of them around, but because maybe they are not physically available, or they maybe don't have the technical ability to monitor their own projects, they would always, reach out to me for support. Yeah, now I'm here with Rooting Technologies, which is a tech-enabled platform that we founded to protect investments put towards construction. And the enemy we are trying to fight is silent losses. Okay, so what do I mean by silent losses? Silent losses are basically losses that occur on a project that the project owner may not even notice that they are losing money. Sometimes you've spent 300 million on a project, but it could have been a project of 200 million, but you're not even aware that you've made that loss of 100 million. They happen so in a way that is so subtle that you may not even notice that you're losing money. For example, commonly on projects, you realize that there's a lot of break here, build again, break here, build again, with not so much concern to how much wastage is actually happening in these processes. Areas like procurement, where a lot of mistakes are made. Areas like supervision, which sometimes is not approached intentionally. So in the end, there are some, things that go unnoticed, things that go unmonitored and end up being losses. Yeah, so for example, you wake up 2 years down the line, the project is very expensive, the house is very expensive to maintain. What started out as a dream is now maybe a pain because of things that because of issues that shouldn't have happened. So yeah, I'll be putting out this series to basically discuss these silent losses, what they are, talk more about rooting, about our platform, and what the platform does, how you can benefit, how your project can benefit, how you can save money. Yeah, and it has really a lot of cool features. For example, the feature I like most about our platform is the fact that you can sell your surplus materials on a project. Everyone who is using our app, our platform, if you have excess material that have remained on your project, you can just put it on the app, because when these materials are being ordered, usually it's not exact, they're estimates. So you could have ordered for maybe 100 bags, 50 bags of cement, by the end of the project you realize that you have maybe 10, 12 bags that you're not going to use, then you just upload it to the surplus market. Someone who is close enough to your site can and has need for it can always pick up from you. So it's really one of the cool features I like about this app, and there are so many other cool features. When you get to interact with it, you really appreciate what the platform has to offer. We also use it as a monitoring tool. It has a dashboard. This dashboard is updated by our field engineers. We have a network of engineers who are dispersed across the entire country. Right now, of course, the network is not yet so big, but we keep onboarding more and more, and so that the app, it gives the value to the user that we want them to give. You are able to save your project documents on the platforms. You can use it as a storage platform for your project files. You can use the platform to see the progress of your project. So I think it's really a good technology that we have, and I hope that so many people join us and use the platform to improve their project deliveries. One of the main reasons why we are doing this series is so that we bring awareness to that these losses that happen on projects, they are actually avoidable, and there are things that you can do to safeguard yourself. You can take a more proactive approach to protecting your money, your hard-earned money, instead of just letting things go by passively. I'm going to be sharing examples of what these silent losses are. And also, if you have some experiences that you would like to share, you can always share in the comment section, or you can email us. You can, reach out to us through our different platforms. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome to join me on this journey. The first silent loss I would like to start with is something around procurement. Procurement mistakes is where a lot of money is lost. It is a very high risk. The risk with procurement is very, very high. So every time someone is approaching procurement on their construction project, go with the mindset of, this is very risky. Just because you're buying the things yourself, because it's common for many people to think that if I buy the materials myself and I only give the builder money for their labor, then in that way I would have removed the risk. But that may not necessarily be the case, because there are so many things so many good practices that go with the procurement that must be practiced, whether you're doing a private project or doing a project for a company. Because interestingly, many of us are even procurement, maybe professional, or at least have an idea of how formal procurement processes are carried out. So if you choose to take that route whereby you're going to do your own procurement, I would still advise that you follow the standard, the standard processes, the good practices recommended by the procurement profession. For example, you don't just walk into the first shop you get. You don't have specifications for what you're buying, and you say, I want this material, I want this and that. No, you have to prepare the specifications for what you're going to buy. Make sure you have that. You have to make sure that you have comparative prices from different sellers or different service providers. There are some things at least you have to do before you can buy. But also you realize that most people don't have that kind of time. Most people don't have that kind of time. They're busy with work, they're busy with their lives, and running around after this supplier, after the other supplier. Sometimes you realize that by trying to buy things yourself and the limited time you have, there will be moments where people are redundant at site because they have not received materials on time. So if someone is going to do the procurement themselves, please follow the guidelines that is good practice for procurement. Otherwise, get help. Many people are afraid to work with contractors, thinking that contractors are maybe more expensive. So they prefer to give the kind of contract which is not even contract, to just get builders, the builders to do, pay them labor, maybe weekly or whatever schedule of payment that they have with their builders, and then do procurement for themselves. But you save yourself a lot of trouble if you enter into a kind of contract whereby the contractor does for you the work and gives you like a complete package, does the procurement. There are ways to do that. Another thing, of course, we don't recommend is also for you to pay advance payments. Any way you can run your project without paying in advance, or at least protecting the advance money that you're putting through to your contractors or to your service providers, that should be paramount. So it's a lot of issues around there, but there are people who can help. If you need more advice on how you can manage your procurement projects to get value for money and also to safeguard your project, you can also always come to our offices in Ntinda. Our team will be there to guide you through how you can improve procurement, and not just to give money to you. Foremen have run away with people's money, by the way. Sometimes you give someone, okay, I don't want to accuse foremen. Unfortunately, sometimes people have been fleeced. You pay the advance that you pay, and then the service provider goes away with the money. You get another service provider, they start again. By the time you're finishing foundation alone, you've changed like 3 different builders. By the time you're finishing and you're roofing your structure, you've even lost count of the number of people who have been on your project. And there's no way of actually tracking how much you are losing along the way. So what I want to encourage you is take a more proactive approach, and where you can't, where you're limited, accept and get help. The misconception that help is expensive may actually cost you more, than just reaching out and getting the right kind of help. And if you need more advice, please, you're free to come to our offices. Our team will be here to support you and walk you through, and also work with you on your construction journey. The other very interesting silent loss I like to talk about is what we call rework. Rework is basically when you have finished a unit of work, and then because maybe it has not been done according to the specification, or maybe you just want some improvement around it, you end up breaking. You build a wall, you break it again. You build a wall, you break it again. You install a door, you remove it, bring a different door, adjust all that. That is what I mean by rework. And it can be very costly. And some of the reasons why this happens is inadequate or lack of planning, or sometimes not fully understanding what has been put in the design. You find that maybe the client themselves, a room has been constructed, then when you enter to access it, you realize that it is smaller than what you imagined. It should have been bigger. Or you find that there's something that you want, some adjustment you want to make. Some amount of changes are okay, but if it is persistent, then most likely there's a step that has been missed. Maybe some more work could have been done around the planning and around the understanding the entire scope of the project before implementing it. So that is also a big area where money is usually lost. By nature, construction projects involve a lot of processes that you can't just ignore or skip. There are some stages, some control points where you have to stop, check, make sure that your checklist, you've covered the critical items before you can move to the next step or to the next phase of your project. The example I like to use is the problem of a rising damp in houses, where you have maybe about up to the window level of the houses peeling off, paint peeling off. That is what I'm referring to when I talk about rising damp. So this is a very easy problem to fix during the construction stage with the right material, with the right waterproofing. But there's a lot of fake materials being sold as waterproofing materials. They're actually basically paper. So over time they soak water, and you see that the paint is peeling. Sometimes they are forgotten altogether, and the waterproofing is not done. So you realize that if you skip a critical step, construction is very unforgiving, It will show at some point. They commonly say that if walls could talk, in construction, if you miss a critical step, the walls will talk to you. You will see cracks, you see rising damp, and so many other issues that can make your wall talk to you. So it is an area where we have to be careful, get the right amount of supervision. There are some activities you cannot do before you check that you have the right level of supervision in place. You cannot cast concrete without the proper amount of supervision in place. It can end badly sometimes. So you have to make sure you have the right amount of supervision, the right kind of quality control in place. The cost of supervision is assumed to be high. Sometimes someone will not even check to see what would it actually mean for me to get supervisory support on my project. Just make assumptions that it's expensive, I can't afford it. But if you can afford to invest 200, 300, 100 million in construction, why don't you just also spare money to protect your project by hiring the right supervision that you require on that project? Yeah. So basically, like I said, we are open. If you need any kind of guidance with your project or where you can get help, we are open, and we can always point you to the right direction. If it is support we cannot provide, but if it is something that our team can do for you, we are definitely happy to help, to support, to join you on your project. Something I mentioned before was about advance payments. This one I really discourage. Usually what forces us to pay in advance is because the people that we are employing on our projects, either they don't have the financial muscle to take on the project, or they don't even have the structure in place to get financing from financial institutions to fund our projects. But there's several ways around it to make sure that you're not releasing a huge sum of money in advance before your project is even started. There are contractors who have the ability to finance this project. What I just recommend is that don't be afraid when you're starting out your project. You can even advertise. No one stops you from preparing your project documentation and putting out an advert and letting people compete to work on your project. Let people compete and give you offers. Even if you're getting recommendations from friends, invite people formally to make offers towards your project. Make your terms very clear. But I do not, or even us as routing, we do not recommend that you pay money, especially huge sums of money in advance, when you don't have some sort of guarantee in place. Or if you're going to pay someone money in advance, then include maybe some security in the agreement that you make with them. Have an agreement, include the security. If they have land, include that in the agreement. Why should you give someone your money and don't have protection for yourself? So have some sort of security. If the bank can secure it, if an insurance company can secure it, if not, then they can secure it with their asset. But short of that, advance payment is a very risky area that a lot of people have lost a lot of money, and you should be cautious. If you love your money and you worked hard for it, you should really be cautious with that. Another problem area is giving verbal instructions. And for the informal sector, it's common that you just go to your site over the weekend and tell people, remove this, put this here, do this, that. And then the next time you come back, maybe it is now your word against their word. Maybe you said it, maybe you didn't say it, no one knows. It was not recorded. They will say, Madam, or sir, you said this is what we did. So find a way of having a site instruction book to record all the instructions, all the improvements you want to do on your project. And preferably, if you have a site manager or a project manager, you channel your instructions through this person. Don't go to the painter, tell the painter one thing, tell the tiler another thing, tell the fabricator another thing, and then maybe some instructions leave with your project manager. That causes a lot of confusion. So it's good to also give instructions in a structured format, in a well-organized format. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself what a permanent house actually means? By permanent, if you say, this is a permanent house, does it mean it is supposed to last for life, forever? Is that the definition of a permanent house? Yeah, let's get into that. Usually especially commonly for residential houses, when they are being designed, they are given a design life by the design engineer or whoever is working on the design, a design life of about 50, 75 to 100 years. That is usually the design life. But we've seen buildings that have lasted for 200 years, 500 years, even more. They are there in the world. Yet at the same time, we've seen buildings that have lasted for 10 years, and already the maintenance cost is too high, or even 5 years. You know, you're spending a lot of money on repairing the roof, a lot of money on repairing the cracks in the walls, a lot of issues. So there's something that we usually refer to as the design life, that is the life expectancy of the building at the time the designer is putting together the materials, putting together the construction methods and all those things. So they would estimate that this building should give you a good 50 to 70 years. But with maintenance, with upgrades and things like that, you can even get much longer out of your building. So for a building that is not going to suffer silent losses, they should at least live up to or even beyond their design life. Because when we put together construction investments, it's a vehicle that most people use to transfer wealth into the next generation. So you imagine if you put up a building that is going to struggle 10, 20, 30 years and you have to, lose it, then I don't think you would have achieved the goal for your passing on wealth into your future generations. So we need to be very cautious. Ask your designer, first of all, what design life have you given my project? What should I expect? What are the requirements for maintenance? What are the requirements for maintenance going to be for this building? And what kind of upgrades can I do later on, maybe to give it a better or longer life? So have some of those conversations with your designers and your project teams. Let them clarify to you. Get to know what their take is on. Yeah, so understand what the design life of the project is going to be. What is also the possible service life you can get depending on the kind of maintenance that you're going to have. And be very careful with what your designer has recommended, the construction methods have recommended that you use, so that you're able to get the best out of your project and get good value for your money.